The old saying goes, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. If I find my way home, yeah.
Hey, thanks for checking out Slaynuh Sofa, the podcast created to be your peace among the pandemonium. How are you guys all doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope if you were having a bad week, it got better. I hope that you're going to be seeing better days soon. Please comment below one bruise and one band-aid, as always. One bruise, which is kind of a band-aid, but it's a bruise for me. I got adequate sleep a couple of days of the week, and I think my body is so used to me getting 7-ish hours of sleep that when I got 8.5, it kind of slowed me down. So that would be a bruise. The band-aid would be I got through the busiest week of my year thus far. I promise you, this past week was the busiest one for me since 2018 started. So I'm grateful that I made it through, and I didn't just, make it through. I actually got through it, maintained, and did really well. So I'm really proud of myself. Pins are still available for purchase. By now, you know how to reach me, how to get to me. So if you'd like a pin, just reach out. Confidence is a term that I'm sure most, if not all of us, are familiar with. So whether you use the definition from Webster, Oxford English Dictionary, or any other website, all, in my opinion, boils down to this. You must have firm trust in something or in someone's abilities in order to be confident in whatever it is or whoever they are. A young woman with little to no journalism experience goes to a tryout with a pencil, paper, and the confidence to make it through the first round. She's asked a series of questions on the test, and they're regarding current news. She fills in general biographical information and writes her own news article based on a given prompt. She's interviewed, not to her knowledge though, by 2 staff members. One of them is the newspaper editor-in-chief. Days later, the list goes up, and she's on it. She is a candidate reporter for the news section of her university's newspaper. Ecstatic to meet every deadline early and write all of her breaking news articles, the young woman eagerly tackles every assignment given to her, even taking on a couple extra every now and then. A couple months in, it starts to feel like more of a chore than a calling. She's slipping further into her depressive state as her anxiety worsens. And even with the help of counseling, she can't seem to shake the feeling of no escape and being trapped up against a wall. Between writing for the newspaper and being actively involved on the executive board of 2 of her on-campus organizations, the young woman reached her lowest point since coming to college. She finished the semester with 2 A's, an A-, a B, and a B+. She passed her newspaper final exam with 95%, the highest among her class. And guess what she did? She stepped down from the option to be a paid employee in just a little over 1 month. That girl was me. Confidence means that you must have firm trust in something or someone's abilities. What did I have confidence in? You may be asking yourself that question. And I had confidence in myself. This was fall 2017, yet I have my tattoo, which says optimistic in Urdu, back in September 2013. So I always knew that I had confidence, but during different experiences in life, sometimes we have to learn how to uncover that confidence. I knew that I was essentially back to, square one. I was broke, jobless, and navigating throughout my 4-year track aimlessly, it seemed. But was I really all of that? Or did that experience show me that if I remained, I'd be choosing to be broke on the inside? mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually broke with a couple of dollars to spend. But you see, it wasn't an easy decision at all to choose that option. I didn't know what was on the other end of my decision, but I knew deep down within I was confident in myself, confident in my abilities, and I would go on to find what I loved. And having that time not writing for the newspaper, I had time to find myself and find something that I really, really enjoy, which is podcasting, which is speaking, sharing my stories so that they can help people other than me. For one of the first times in my college endeavors, I had to make a decision call based on my confidence in myself. If I stayed, I would have had money, but I'd forever feel trapped. I'd forever feel indebted to whomever for whatever reason. And more than anything, I would feel miserable. The thing about confidence is that it meets faith right at the intersection. So I believe that the two, faith and confidence, go hand in hand, and you can't necessarily have one without the other. So for example, if you have confidence in your car, you are completely trusting it to get you from point A to point B. If you have faith in your car, you know wholeheartedly that it will get you where you need to go. So since I'm using the car analogy, I'll ask you this. If we put our trust in man-made items like cars, planes, homes, even something as simple as shoes, and so much more, why can't we have that same confidence in ourselves? Why can't we leave that college campus and go to another that we know we'd be happier at? Why can't we leave that significant other who's toxic when we know that they're not there to charge us but to drain us? Why can't we accept compliments but we can so easily give them out? Did it ever cross your mind, or did you ever consider that it's because you don't trust yourself? We can trust cars to get us to a destination that's 5 hours away, but we can't trust ourselves to get through 5 hours of commitments throughout the day. We trust planes, to carry us across seas, but we can't trust ourselves to jump across the puddles that we encounter every day. Why is it that we can trust man-made items, but can't trust ourselves made by the man up top? And we can't trust ourselves because we can't trust ourselves. We don't know often what's on the other side of the road, yet we trust that the car does. What if it breaks down in the middle of nowhere, even after it just left the shop? We don't know what's on the other side of the ocean, yet we trust that the plane does. What if it begins to fall and the airbags don't deploy? We never really think about these things for the most part, but we're always thinking, I can't accomplish this, or I can't do that. What it all comes down to me is that if you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you can't. You have to see it, whatever that it is, in yourself before anybody else can. Whether that be that you possess, a particular talent, or you just consider yourself to be beautiful or handsome. Because I wholeheartedly believe that what you project onto the world is received by others, and often all that people are doing are projecting back onto you what you give them, whether that's something good or something bad. I didn't become confident in myself largely until I was 16. And it was through the love of God that I learned that there's something deep within me that can't be found in anyone or anything else. And I carry that with myself. And I still do any and everywhere that I go. I began to express myself through different hair colors, vibrant fashion, my piercing jewelry, even my one tattoo. I remember when I had green crochet hair in July of 2015. And more people disliked it than liked it, but I didn't care, because confidence isn't, oh, they'll like it. Confidence is, I'll be all right if they don't. I even remember when I was traveling, some man tried to tell my mom that my crazy hair color meant that I was out of control. And he literally suggested getting me involved in sports or something to do after school. He himself said, that I needed to get involved, like the Williams sisters, you know, Serena and Venus, the tennis players. And anybody who knows my parents knows that they do not play about their kids. So my mom went off. She told him how I was an honor roll student, going to college, and just a great person above all else. But had I let the snickers from peers and even advice from some adults who told me that I was too young for piercings and tattoos, if I had let that bother me, I don't think I would have come into my confidence when I did. I still have a long way to go, but I can honestly say that 9 days out of 10, I wake up and I'm like, "Dad, girl, you look good on the inside and on the outside." Like, I really just believe that. I mean, you have to believe in yourself. You have to have that confidence in yourself, and it shows. You just wear it like a badge of honor. It shows in your smile. It shows in your pep. It shows in your step. It shows in the way you carry yourself. It just shines through you. And the great thing about being confident in yourself is that often opens the door for other people to be confident and comfortable in themselves, because they use that as an avenue to be comfortable with their own skin. And I dress the way that I do, wear my hair the way I want to, and get the lipstick colors that I love for nobody but myself. It's not to impress anybody or to try to show up anybody else. It's because I feel good when I do this, so I'm gonna do it. And confidence is something that people don't all come into at the same point in time, just like anything. There are people who don't become trustworthy in themselves until they're in their 50s or 60s or, you know, even 20s, 30s, whatever. But I want you to know that you don't have to wait that long to become comfortable in yourself, the way you look, the way you dress, the way you act, the way you talk, the things you love. Whether they fit standards that people think should fit people, the way that you look or the way that you sound, doesn't matter. And again, social media cannot be the parent for children, for young people. It cannot raise children. But a lot of children, especially today, not even just children, you know, young people, they are growing up with technology. So they're growing up with social media. So every single day they're getting an influx of different people they're looking at, whether, you know, that's men, women, whatever, if they're gender fluid, you know, or what they're wearing, or how they look, or how they sound, or how they act. And it's no secret that all of that plays into people's self-confidence. If you see somebody online who has, quote unquote, a perfect body, they're shaped a certain way, the way that men or women say that every woman should look, of course, someone who doesn't fit that standard is going to feel subpar. And a lot of the times, there are people who look a certain way and it's not natural. And I'm not shaming people who get plastic surgery or whatever, but it's really unrealistic for, especially like a young man or woman, to see someone who's had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of work done on them and say, "Wow, I wish I could look like that." First of all, you're comparing something that's not realistic or something that's not even real to you, to yourself. You haven't even fully developed, or you haven't even come into the person you're meant to be yet. You can't compare. And standards of beauty change throughout history, just like fashion statements change. There are points in times where people prefer a thinner person or a heavier person, or people with a fatter nose or a skinnier nose or whatever. It's all changing. It's all fleeting. And so if we can wrap our brains around the fact that how we are is good enough, we won't have to try to fit these standards and always compete. As I've kind of touched on before, I became the size that I am now basically roughly around my junior year of high school. That's when I really started to get like the weight where I am now, like basically smaller. So all growing up, I've always been very skinny, like, you know, what people would call, you know, chicken legs or whatever. Like, I'm not like super bony, but like I am very skinny. But in middle school and high school, I feel like we all go through that kind of like rough patch per se. So I was at my heaviest then, but I wasn't ever, overweight or anything like that. But even growing up, I knew that there was different beauty standards, because when I was in elementary school, everyone, like, they just kind of loved and kind of, I guess, romanticized how skinny I was and how beautiful I was and everything like that. But as I got older, I saw that people made these notions that if you didn't have a big butt, if you didn't have hips, if you weren't, quote, thick, then you were ugly. And so I was like, well, I'm not any of that, so where does that leave me? And I've always been told by my parents, by my family, you're beautiful inside and out. And that really helps, that adds to confidence when you hear it, especially from someone you love, people you care about. But it's one thing to hear it from, family, loved ones, especially older people. And then you get on social media and you're like, oh, well, these aren't the people who are getting the most praise or people who are being, drooled over. And not saying I ever wanted attention in that way, because I never did, and I still don't. I don't like the spotlight. But it's just like, you can't help but feel some type of way when the beauty in you is not the beauty that is what society says you should be, if that makes sense. I had to be fully confident in myself and accepting this is the body that I was given. If God wanted me to be any other way, he would have made me that way. But I am perfectly flawed and still beautiful. He molded me the way that I am for a reason. Everything that I need is within me. I just need to find it. And I've never considered, plastic surgery or anything. I mean, not having a butt is like uncomfortable sometimes, like when you kind of sit on like a flat surface. But it's never crossed my mind to alter my body in any way, because I personally don't see the need for it. I mean, I know that I'm beautiful. I love my smile. I love my teeth. I love my lips. I love my hair. I love my legs, even though they're skinny. I love my arms, even though they're skinny. I love myself. And of course, there are parts of my body that I'm a little more, I guess, a little self-conscious about sometimes, like my stomach. But it's not to the point where it hinders me from doing things that I want to do. One thing that I do commend a lot of women on is swimsuit season, because I personally, even though people are like, oh, you're so skinny, you're so small. I do not wear two pieces. I do not wear bikinis or anything like that. Like, I just don't feel comfortable in them. So I wear one pieces. I mean, they're cute one pieces, so don't try to, play me. But that is my goal, to reach that level of confidence where I can wear one and do so comfortably. So if you have something that you are working towards being more confident in or about, please leave a comment below what it is, or, message me privately or whatever you want to do. Confidence looks different for everybody, so I'm not using myself as a model of any sort for anyone to follow. Some people, that might mean going from a head full of hair to a short fade, while others might, do 180 degree and want to grow out dreads or something like that. Some people try purple lipstick for the first time, while others put on a two-piece for the first time in their life. People shouldn't, confide to gender norms unless they want to. I mean, they're only there because we say that they are. I even considered at one point in time making my minor or major sociology, because it is so interesting to me. I mean, what is seen as normal in one culture can be completely different in another. So it is very American for women to be weak and timid and cry, and men to have to be rock solid. And in other cultures, it's the completely opposite. If you're a woman who is weak, you're looked at very strangely. And we don't need to confide to these if they don't fit how we feel. If you don't feel good doing something, wearing something, you shouldn't have to. And someone who makes fun of you for being confident in yourself is very self-conscious in their selves. And that's their problem and not yours. Aside from physical confidence, what's most important is confidence that you foster internally. So, do you believe in your dreams and your goals and your ability to accomplish them? If you've known all your life that you wanted to be a dancer, what is holding you back? Why is that confidence not in place to accomplish your dreams? And I know it's always easier said than done, but do you trust yourself? Do you trust that you have what it takes to make the dance team, to get into that dance school, to hear back and say, congratulations, you've been casted as a dancer for XYZ? It all boils down to trusting in yourself, trusting in your ability. If you say that you can do it, you can. If you say that. Tip time. Above all else, it starts with you completely trusting in your own ability to do something. This may mean that you have to verbally or mentally tell yourself every single day, I am beautiful. I know what my worth is, plus I'm adding tax. And in addition to that, you need to know your worth. It is so common, it's such a cliche, but please know your worth. What you put out, as I've said before, is what will be projected back onto you. People see whether you believe in yourself or not, and they will use that to their own advantage, and that means that can be used against you. Until you start seeing yourself as a person who deserves something to a certain standard, you're going to take anything, and people are going to give you anything because they know that you're going to take it. But if people see, oh, they don't put up with that, they don't put up with this, they're going to come to you correct. They are going to approach you in a certain way. And confidence doesn't mean that you think you're better than anyone. You just know you deserve better. So tell yourself, I'm beautiful, I know my worth, plus I'm adding tax. I'm able to accomplish what I set out to do. But please keep in mind, it's more than just saying it. You have to really believe it. Marcus Garvey, a black proponent in Jamaica and also the States, once said, with confidence, you have won before you have started. So before you've even started anything, whether that be a project, a job, a relationship, anything, when you have confidence in place beforehand, you have already won. You have already claimed what's yours. Another tip, which you've probably heard from me before, is try something new. It's so true that you don't know whether you like something or not until you've tried it. How can you say that you, for example, don't like a dessert if you've never had it before? Well, I just don't like how it looks. I don't like how it smells. You're basing it off of assumptions. You've never tried it. And there are some things in life, we can learn through other people. But some things, until you've actually tried them for yourself, you're not going to know for sure. So try something new. That could mean try a new hairstyle, or go to an event you never would have went to before. Hang out with a group of people you'd never imagined you'd be friends with back in high school. Anything. Just within reason, be safe, but try something new. Get to know yourself is my next tip. There's literally no way to learn what you love, what you hate, what you don't like, and what you feel kind of indifferent about until you get to know yourself. And that doesn't happen overnight either. It takes years. I mean, every day I'm still getting to know myself. Every year I'm like, oh wow, never thought I would like this, or didn't think I'd not like this anymore. It's really about taking time to be with nobody but yourself and God, and going to the depths of your heart, the depths of your soul, and finding out what sets it on fire. And when you get to know yourself, everything around you is going to change. Like literally, like people are going to also see it, like the way that you walk, the way that you talk, everything. It's just going to shift for the better when you know yourself, because you're either walking in this life as yourself or somebody else, and we only get one life. So why try to live it being someone else when there's really only one of every of us? Do, wear, and say what makes you feel at your best. And people, time and time again, will try to call people out of their names because they want to wear a see-through shirt or a short skirt, whatever. Okay, listen. Just because you won't put it on does not mean you should tell someone else they shouldn't. Their confidence has nothing to do with you. And people need to get over themselves and stop believing, oh, she wore this because she wants to be seen by someone else, especially a man. Okay, listen, there are some women who intentionally put on certain outfits for attention. And there are others who put on something because they want to, because they look good in it, because they feel beautiful in it. Why should we have to hide ourselves if we feel confident in ourselves, especially people who have not always been like that their whole life? A lot of the times, the people who are the most confident, the most out there, the most free-spirited were once so closed in, so afraid of being who they truly were. And they finally broke through their shell. So why try to make them retreat back to their shell? I'm sorry if you're still in your shell and you refuse to try to break out of it. But again, that's your problem. Nobody else's. If a man wants to get his eyebrows done, if he wants to wear nail polish, if he wants to do makeup, if he wants to wear a skirt, whatever, why do you care? I've been asking this question for years, and I'm still waiting for an answer, and no one can give me one. If someone doesn't identify with the gender that they were given at birth, why do you care that they want to be referred to as someone else? Why? It disrupts your day that much that you have to go out of your way to call somebody something that they don't want to be called. Again, every time I ask this question, I never get an answer. So that tells me it's about you and not them. My next tip is know what you will stand for and what you will stand up against. There's really nothing else I can say about that. I can't really expand on that anymore. Know your values. Know that some will stay core to your heart, and know that some may change depending on how you grow in life. But basic principles, know what those are for you, and know what you will stand up against. Also, something I think is very important and is very much so more practical than any of the other tips I've really given is to start setting attainable goals and changing bad habits. So if you know that you want to do something, start setting goals, and that can be daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, whatever goals work for you. Start setting those so you can physically see those. I'm someone who likes to write things down, partially because I can't really remember them if I don't, but start writing things down, start keeping a checklist, and don't just do things and say, oh, well, I checked it off the checklist. Do it because it's what you need to do to get to where you want in life, and make it enjoyable. Don't make it a chore. And a tip that I also will give you off of that, make a vision board. It's really inexpensive. You can get just a big piece of poster board paper. You can get magazine clippings. You can print out pictures. Make a vision board. And on it, put things that you want to attain. For me, a vision board is going to be things that I want to do throughout the year. So I'll probably put a couple of goals for each month until I've reached 12 months total. There's really no one way you can do this. It looks differently for everybody, but that's a tip that I suggest anyone to use. Like I said before, it's really inexpensive, it's really easy, and especially for someone like me who's a visual person, like visually seeing it just makes it so much more realistic. And also, start changing bad habits that conflict with your confidence. The most important tip for me, which is why I saved it for one of the last tips, is pray about it. I don't do anything in life without first consulting God. Any decision that I have to make, He is my counsel. I go to Him. I literally will sit down. Sometimes I'll sit on the ground, wherever I am. I will stop what I'm doing and just start a conversation with Him as if I were talking to my actual Father here on earth. Hey God, it's me. I'm gonna, get into this. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And I always say, please lead me to what is more of you and less of me. Please lead me to something. If this is what you want me to do, this is what's going to happen. I always say I don't know necessarily what's on the other end of this thing, but I know that you do. And I'm taking all of my doubts, all of my worries, I am getting rid of those. I'm casting them away. And I am full-blown placing all of my trust into you, the one who knows what is on the other end of this thing, the one who gives me what I didn't know I need and takes away what I thought I wanted. So I always pray about it. I'm very much someone who believes in vibes. I believe in, if it doesn't feel right, it usually isn't right. Feel and trust your gut. I personally don't know if that gut is God or if that gut is just something He gave us all innately to be able to help with decision making, but 9 times out of 10, your gut is not wrong. Go with your gut. Whatever the situation is, lean on your own intuition, lean on your own confidence in knowing in yourself this feels right or this feels wrong, and go with it. Because I promise you from personal experience, if you go with something that your gut is telling you no, you're going to regret it. Or if you go with something your gut is telling you yes, you're like, wow. And sometimes the gut can be what seems like a little bit off, but for the most part, it's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. In a quote that I love that I found online, I saw somewhere, it said, "There's a voice that doesn't use words. Listen." If you take away nothing from this listen but one thing, let it be this quote by Earl Grey Stevens. Confidence, like art, never comes from having all the answers. It comes from being open to all the questions. That's all that I've got for you today. Go out and get in your go yard. Stay low and stay solid.